So call the meeting
I
to
got
order.
the titanium parts approved. Okay.
Roll call.
Hoffman,
Here?
Hill, Gravel's here, it's Gravel again. Where's she?
Here.
He said here.
Okay, let's stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, could you lead us in a prayer?
Dear Lord, help to guide our decisions and do what's best for the community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
We're on a skeleton group tonight. Hopefully Mike shows up here in a little bit, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and continue. So we'll move on to the approval of minutes.
Second. What was the first date?
February 23rd.
I motion that we approve the minutes from February 23rd meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did he say aye?
Mhm.
Okay, Richard said aye. All right.
Now what was the other date?
March 9th.
And motion that we approve the minutes from March 9th. What say you, Mr. Kaufman?
He motioned to
I
approve the minutes for March 9th.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving along, we have our reports. We'll start with mine. I'm gonna keep it brief tonight since we got a long meeting. We still have an open council seat. We're taking applications of those interested until Wednesday at noon, so we have gotten a couple of applications, but we encourage more. Anybody else that's interested in serving, you do not have to be a politician. In fact, we don't want you to be a politician. We just want somebody that cares about the community and wants to help and provide input and steer us in the right direction. The water project is continuing. We'll get to Richard in a minute. Meter installation preparation is underway. They'll start dropping meters soon. They've already switched out all of the POA meters to do city meters. We're reviewing our procedures and infrastructure tracking, working to strengthen coordination between our projects and utilities. Continuing to engage with the community on infrastructure improvements and feedback and participation, I guess. That's about all I got tonight. Clerk's report. We have pretty charts now too to look at.
So the total income was, this is for February, $148,890.68. We wrote out a total of $310,022.78 in vouchers. Anybody has any questions? All the bonds are on the back. Anybody have any questions? Budget is over here on the right.
You just approve the vouchers.
Yes, please.
What page is that on? I motion that we approve vouchers in the amount of $310,022.78.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Pay up. On there.
Oh, you're good. for the clerk's report, or is there more to, was there anything else to approve, or?
No, that's all I got.
Okay, all right, moving on. Building inspector's report. Lance?
Well, we don't have a whole lot going on. We have picked up in permit application activity pretty good. I had 5 permits at my desk today. Most of them were approved. We did knock out the last permit for 2022 as well today. So we have no more open permits for the last 2 or 3 years.
Any questions? No? Okay. Oh, maybe?
Richard, nope.
Okay. Moving on to the nuisance codes enforcement report, Paige? Did I miss something?
Yeah, they wanted to revise the building permit and
Oh,
yeah.
you guys were gonna talk about the building permit?
Sure.
It was on the agenda for,
you wanted to revise the wording.
I haven't seen any of this. I mean, besides what I looked at today, but I can do it,
The building permit?
yeah,
You guys did it a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago.
okay.
We can move it if you want.
I mean, it's fine, I just didn't know I was doing it tonight. So on the old permit, that was right in my face. There are some things that probably should be changed. I know some of the fees have changed for the city, so they changed that. Before, on the permit, it said that permits would be approved on the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. I think that was back when they didn't even have a full-time person doing it. So I think that could be eliminated from the permit. I don't think that needs to be on there. Where was the new ones, so I can see the difference real quick. Okay. Yeah, so on the new one, there's the permit fee and inspection fee changes. I think the $35 application fee is the same. I know they added the inspection fee, which also states that everybody, that's towards the cost of their permit that they're paying for. I'm trying to see what the differences are on some of these before I.
You changed the footings on page 2, number 3.
Yes. I'm trying to see what was changed on it real quick, sorry.
We separated single and 2-story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so on the footing part, they just separated single and 2-story because they are definitely different footings. 2-story has a lot more weight on top of it, so it requires a wider footing. Nothing goes deeper, it's still the same depth as a normal frost footing, but it is wider because of the extra weight that's added on top. They changed the building, or the sign, the sign fee for the 911 addresses. They used to be $15, they're now $31, so that's been changed on the permit. I think that was most of it. On the part where it has building code officer, it's changed to building inspector. And then, they had on the original permit that a site plan stamped by a Kansas professional engineer will be required for new residential or accessory buildings. We took that off. Most cities don't require an engineer's stamp, especially for accessory buildings. And then most of the time, unless somebody really starts to build something strange or real heavy standard footings, we already know those, so we don't require an engineer stamp on most residential buildings unless someone's trying to do something very much out of the ordinary. Like, you know, if they had a huge overhang or something like that. I think that's it. It was all just pretty basic changes, nothing major. Any questions at all?
are these live changes yet, or are you looking for?
No,
approval?
they're not live. We would need city council's approval to change the permit, to show that it's been changed.
Okay. Yes, questions or any action?
No, I'll make a motion that
we allow the building inspector to change the permit. To have the city clerk change the permit.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thumbs up.
All right. The next thing on there was the discussion on the IRC 2018 adoption.
Just stood up. So currently, the city is under the 2006 IRC codes. That's 20 years behind on what changes are out there. Being as Lance is looking to get certified and Paige is looking to get certified, my suggestion would be that the city move up to the 2015 or the 2018 codes. There is 2021 and 2024 codes out. There are a lot of major changes when it comes to 2021. The only real changes in 2015 or 2018 are arc fault interrupters. I know a lot of you are probably common with your GFCI interrupters, which are like around your water areas. Arc fault interrupters are for high draws. So something that would cause a real high draw will cause them to trip. That being said, vacuums cause them to trip. Microwaves, anything that has an instant high hit will cause them to trip. If the city was to go to 2018 or 2015, I would suggest not taking in the arc fault interrupters. Lots of other cities have adopted it and already dropped it because of the issues they cause. One, they're not a plug like you normally have, like your GFCI plug. There's not a test and a reset on them. I don't know if they make them yet or not. They might, but originally it was a breaker. So if you've got a 2 or 3 story house and you're upstairs and your breaker trips, you get to go downstairs and then reset it and then start over. And it just keeps doing it. The other changes would be, the other major changes, there's a lot of solar stuff added in 2015 and the 2018, which I think the city should adopt. I mean, we have a ton of solar here in our city. And the 2006 code did not cover much of solar because solar was not very popular back then. The amount of stuff that solar's coming out with now, especially with a lot of the DIYers, I'm one of them, we should have updated code so they're at least doing things correctly. They're running wires correctly, they have the protections in there correctly, especially for the fire department, public safety guys. Lithium-ion batteries catch on fire, it's a bad day. I'm sure most people have watched the news on it, and it just gives the safety protections to make sure that people are installing things correctly. If you tie into Evergy, there's some updated rules. If your solar is hooked to the grid, meaning you're backfeeding to Evergy, Evergy has some updated code rules on those issues also, which are not covered in the 2006 codes. Those are the major things. There's probably some others in there, but nothing that I think is major.
Didn't you say that it adds codes and stuff for tiny homes too?
So the 2018 also has the tiny home codes updated. So if the city council did want to adopt tiny homes, the code's already there. There's nothing that needs to be written or changed. There's nothing major in tiny homes that it changes. The biggest thing some of it covers is loft areas in tiny homes, which is what a lot of people try to do because it's added space. So it has the codes in there for what a loft can be used for, what has to be done if it's a sleeping area, fire egress issues and things like that. But most everything else, it doesn't change footing sizes, it doesn't change foundations, that's all the same. There's not a ton of changes in it. It's just you're getting updated for what is now. There are some electrical stuff as far as grounding, but we've already been implementing all that anyways because Evergy implements it. So we've already been pushing those.
And part of the reason to do this is because Lance cannot test on 2006.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, they haven't tested on that in a long time. Yeah, you can still take the current test and you can still be fine at 2006. You're covered for whatever. Just like when you get your certification, when a new code book comes out, you don't have to recertify. You just go through and take their online class with what the changes are. And that covers your CEU credits for the year.
You're not asking for any action at this time,
No,
for us
just
to
letting
consider it,
council
think
know
about it.
what the differences would be if they wanted to move up to a more current code.
Anybody have any questions for him right now?
Thank you.
Richard? Now we'll move on to nuisance codes and Paige, who is our somewhat newly sworn in codes enforcement officer.
So in the month of February, we had 5 letters have been issued and 1 citation has been filed. We did 2 items have been successfully cleaned up and taken care of. There is currently 1 active case pending in court. We have I made 4 trips to the post office and 6 items were sent via certified mail. And a total of 7 property visits were completed during the month of February. I'd also like to inform the council that I plan to take the code certification test by the end of June. With upcoming scheduled vacations, this timeline will allow me adequate opportunity to prepare and study.
Any questions for her?
She's very good.
Thank you, Paige. Moving on to Public Safety, Police Department.
I don't have anything to add on. What was already in my report?
Questions from anybody? No? Okay. And then, Fire Department report, Jeremy's not here. Do you have anything to add for that you can?
No, it's, point out, I guess, a few of the guys went up yesterday on a big fire in Miami County. They were up there for several hours, like 80 hay-bale fires next to it.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was,
They were up there quite a while on that, so.
wasn't it 3 departments there or something?
Yeah, so there was Lewisburg, Miami County, us, and Glenn County.
Wow. Questions?
Other than that, nothing new for Jeremy couldn't be here, his mom's in surgery, so he's
Oh.
there with her.
Hope she's okay. Mike Page is not here.
His report is,
Hmm? What?
his report,
Okay.
he's coming though, later,
Okay.
I think.
So we'll push past this and come back to it when he's here. Basically, he submitted a standard operating procedure that's in your packet for how to handle sewer line breaks and stuff. So if you have any questions for that, we'll wait till he gets here and then we can come back to him. Because I don't think I can answer any of them. Mindy might be able to. No. Water project report. I guess I should have, well, yeah, now's a good time to bring it up. Richard is officially the point person on the water and the lagoon expansion projects. So he's be working directly with B&G and Hettinger and Double S on the lagoon. So he'll be giving the reports from here on out. He does have a few notes here that I'll read out that he sent me, but Aaron from B&G is here also to talk on the water projects. Sure. Because your stuff may answer some of the stuff I'm gonna say, so.
Okay. So yeah, a few updates, take them one by one. So first would be water tower. Good news on the water tower is we're essentially complete. We're calling it 99%. There's a couple of items remaining. So the good news is we've got water in the tower. KDHE has issued their permit to the city to distribute water from the water tower. A couple of the remaining items, the locks on the tower need to be changed. The contractor lost one of the keys during construction and didn't return it to the city. So they've agreed to cover the cost of the lock swap for those items. Also, the entrance gate was damaged by the contractor during construction, so that's on their punch list to address as well, and then some cleanup of some of the gravel at the entrance. So they've committed to addressing all 3 of those items. So what we're asking at this meeting is for, they've submitted their final pay app in the amount of $77,595. It's the 5% retainage that's been held back by the city as part of the project until the project reaches final completion. So we're recommending that the city authorize final completion and then pay out that basically pay out 5 for that in that total amount of 5%, with the commitment from Caldwell to address the remaining items on the punch list.
you
Any
want a motion
questions?
on that right now?
I think so. Probably better just hit the each motion as we go.
I motion that we, accept the final pay app, from Caldwell for the $77,595 upon their commitment to, completing the punch list.
No, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
I,
Awesome.
Trying to find Richard's questions here.
Hmm.
Trying to find Richard's questions he sent me.
Oh,
Are there any on that tower? Otherwise, I can move on to the water update
Okay.
on the rest of the
Yep.
project.
Go ahead.
So related, but under with a separate contract for the city is the water transmission main, booster station, distribution mains that everyone's aware of happening all over town. So currently the project's sitting about 46% complete as of the end of February. The transmission main, booster station, and fill station are, well, the transmission main and booster station are up and running. That's how we got water into the tower. The whole line is up and running. Everything's set up with the SCADA system that Lacine can view, and Mike Page is now set up being able to manage and run the pumps. Excuse me. The fill station is near complete. There's a few remaining items there that I know the city is aware of, some contracts to get in place, and then a training from the Flow Point folks that'll come down once that contract's in place to teach you guys how to run the system. At which point that's ready to start serving water. I believe water could start going to the POA if the trucks wanted to start using that location with a code, and we could either pull from the Flow Point system the actual metered amounts, or use the nearby meter. So that is an option in the meantime while you guys are waiting to get everything set up for public use. So that portion of the project is essentially 99% complete. On the distribution mains themselves, which are this, 8, 6, 4-inch lines out throughout the rest of the community and all the meters, that's about 38% complete. Let's see, so one of the action items then was we're recommending council approve Hettinger's Pay App number 9 in the amount of $363,495.44.
I motion that we approve pay app 9.
Did I have the number? Sorry, one
Well-
second. I have a mistype on this. Was it 336 or 630?
you're on there too, so
363, 4,
685, that, cause you're on there too. You didn't include yourself on my pay app.
Oh, you guys typically do them at the same time?
Yeah.
Ours and that one? Oh, okay.
Well, unless you want
Yeah,
me
then
to
you
get
can modify
paid.
the amount. That's fine.
oh, this,
The 685,000 at the bottom.
oh, this is 363, isn't it?
So this is probably the mistype down here.
Do you think it's 633?
Well, do we have the?
I have it.
Is it, well,
You even highlighted it for me. Yeah, amount is
Yeah,
360.
636,495.
Okay, I motion that we accept pay app number 9 in the amount of $685,878.31, which would go to BG Consultants and Hettinger Excavating.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So the last item on my list is on the same contract, we're proposing change order number 2 to the city for approval. As a reminder, if the city approves, it still has to go to USDA for authorization. They have to be a party to the contract. So we'll only send it to, they've reviewed it and are in agreement with it, but it has not been approved until they see that the city has agreed. So quick explainer on change order 2. There's 2 items in there. One item is for the meters that have been swapped on the Lynn Valley water system that exists as it is today, where we just pulled the meter out and put a new one. The new meters require that the meter lid has a hole so that the automatic reader system in there can be read by the trucks that drive by. So we need to add 143 meter lids that have holes in them, since the existing ones do not, the existing metal ones do not. That comes at a cost, I believe, of, give me 1 second. Those are $108.45 per each, which is a total of $15,508.35. That's one portion of the proposed change order 2. The other item is, we're proposing adding what are called flush hydrants at the ends of several of at 19 of the dead end lines in the city's system. So I'll just note off the top, this is a nice to have, not a have to have. And one thing I'll mention before I describe the purpose of those flush hydrants is the contract as it's set up with USDA. USDA gave basically you guys got a whole bunch of loan dollars. I think the amount is $13,722 in USDA loan, and then another $8,283,000 in grant. The loan money always gets used first, and then the grant money is what gets used last. So we're not going to have any problem using all the loan dollars. The project had about $800,000 of contingency, which is the last $800,000 of the loan. If everything goes to plan, we made no changes on the project, and then we close the project out at the end, that $800,000 will go back to USDA. So it wouldn't be used in the community. So we've already used $410,000 of that for change order 1, which added 119 meters to the system. So you guys took advantage of some of that free grant money, and we use it towards that. Now, we typically don't like to use all of that contingency right at the start of the project, because we want to make sure there's other unknowns down the road. So we're tracking a few items. You know, there's some overruns and underruns on some pipe links, some flowable fill, some pavement repairs, and things like that. So currently we're seeing that we're not planning to touch the rest of the contingency really at any scale. I mean, maybe $100,000 max, and that's even on the high end of our estimates. So there's about $350,000 of contingency that remains untouched. So this proposed change order 2 would dip into that contingency a little bit more in the amount of $72,508.35, and that covers the previously mentioned meter lids that we'd like to swap, that we need to swap out so they function right, and then these flush hydrants. So on the ends of the lines, I don't know how much you guys care to know about this, but at the ends of the lines that are dead ends, we can leave them that way. Hettinger in the field will dig up the ends of, or place the ends of those lines. They'll need to put on a temporary flush hydrant, bury it, use that flush hydrant during pressure testing and then during disinfection, and then have to come out, dig that up, put a cap on, and then bury it. So they kind of have to do 2 actions, dig it up basically twice. That doesn't really matter to the city. I mean, you're paying them to build the job. They're not getting more money out of that. Their recommendation, however, was, hey, if we're digging this up twice, why not just add a flush hydrant on the end of the line? It gives the city another location to maintain these lines. So as I mentioned before, this is not a must-have. So it's not an absolute, but it is a nice-to-have. It's another location on the line for city staff to go and flush a line if they feel like the water in that line is getting stagnant. This is a location where they can do that. So again, I just wanted to note that it's an opportunity to take advantage of some of that those contingency dollars that otherwise would get sent back to USDA. Makes it a little bit easier for the guys in the field, and then also gives the city a little bit of maintenance opportunity. So
These flush hydrants, are they going on 6-inch lines?
2-inch line, or no, they're 2 or 4-inch lines.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they're nowhere near a fire hydrant, which is how you don't.
Yeah, so there's plenty more. There's actually a lot more dead ends, but some already have fire hydrants on the end. So there's several that we don't need them. But these are locations where, and again, they're not needed, but these are locations where, well, if we're gonna put them, this is where we put them.
In that case, I motion that we accept proposed change order number 2 in the amount of $72,508.35.
Can you add contingent upon USDA approval for that one?
Contingent upon USDA approval. You can ask more questions.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah,
So we don't need them, but they're saying it's a nice ad now. It sounds to me that it's a nice ad because it helps them from having to dig it up twice.
It
Sure.
actually,
So it's gonna save them.
it actually
money.
helps us,
It helps us, but
because our city operator, if they have to flush that line out, it's already there. Otherwise, they gotta dig it up, take the cap off, and flush it out that way.
So you're saying if we have to, if we don't put these on there,
There is a way to flush the line without removing the cap.
okay,
They can be flushed from another location. It typically takes longer. You gotta go back to the nearest hydrant. You're shutting off more valves. It can have a bigger impact. These are lines, this is the dead end line. We can flush just one portion of the line at the dead end. In my opinion, to answer your question, I would say in this case, it's actually a win-win. It's not, this isn't just helping the contractor. This is also actually beneficial to the city. Yes, they were the ones who brought this to the table and recommended it. It does make their lives a little bit easier on these 19 locations to not have to dig it up twice. But regardless, they're still under the same time commitment that they're contractually obligated to deliver the project in, so.
related to this, before we actually vote on it, we've recently discovered that there's no new fire hydrants going in on the existing
Correct.
water lines.
Correct.
I don't know what the cost of adding those would be, but that
You-
might be a,
You have to have a minimum of a 6-inch line.
well, I know, I'm not talking about replacing those, I'm just like, on the line, existing lines, where there are the existing,
Yeah, at
Oh,
my house, and my
right.
wife is all over me about it.
yeah. Would the contingency funds be better spent on adding more fire hydrants versus these flush hydrants? Because there's houses that aren't gonna have the same protection that other people have.
Well, what size line is over in front of our?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
a
and
question
I
for-
can't tell you off the bat if it's, to John's point, if it's a 4-inch line, not a 6-inch line, it technically doesn't provide fire service
Right.
when you put on that
But it's something
that fire
we need
hydrant.
to look into.
but say it is a 6-inch line,
Says 6.
it is an option to consider that.
Says 6 in front of us.
It is a 6?
Richard wants to know if it's potentially be better for the community in getting good service if you add
Is he
those.
talking about what we were talking about? or
What
talking
we were
about?
talking about,
Yeah.
yes.
He's going back to the
Yeah.
flush hydrants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Would it potentially be better for the community in getting good service if you add those?
Yes, yeah. It's an easier spot to flush the line if you get any stagnant water in those dead ends.
Namely, it protects you, and this is what I was getting at earlier. So let's say that something happens, that the water shuts down, and you go below that 11 PSI, well, 17 is what the government says, but you get below that 11 PSI and it allows contaminants to come into the line. You're guaranteed to get it flushed out if you have the flush at the end of the line. What he's talking about is coming back further on it and using a fire hydrant. Technically, that'll work, but I've always disagreed with this because you can't force something at the end to come back to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you did, and
That's
the way
just
you
my-
dry is you run the line longer.
I'm
yeah.
not an engineer. Yeah, you gotta run
Right.
a lot longer.
Yeah.
But we can also add fire hydrants if we have a 6-inch line in front of our house.
Right, I just wanna make, like, we've got so much contingency left, make sure we're all aware of that. We're probably gonna use some more of that, or should use more of that to put some fire hydrants in my opinion, anyway.
Can you work something up on that?
So we can certainly discuss with Hettinger, what we would need to do is look at the locations for where we would wanna add them, how many we're talking, and then talk to Hettinger about, we're gonna, now that you have a contractor on board, they're still required to submit whatever cost it is per each of these, and I believe we should be able to, given the contract, that we already have a bid item, or a unit price contract, that we should be able to say, well, we already had this many fire hydrants in the project, we're just increasing that number by said number. So we should be able to use their bid number for those numbers. Sorry, I'm talking out loud,
No,
I'm
you're
thinking
fine.
out loud right
Yeah,
now.
it's a unit price number.
Yes,
We're just
so we
doing-
should be able
we're
to,
doing an overrun.
the number we need is how many we're talking. So there's a little bit of effort there to do the spacing and figure out the logical locations for them and come up with a number and then use that to figure out a change order.
But
So I can't give you off
Aaron,
the
you're
top.
looking at us, we're looking at you.
I'm not looking at
It's
you.
not that we're gonna tell you how many,
Well,
you're gonna tell us how many.
Yes, we can, that's what I was getting at. We'll provide a number based on the spacing and the locations. What I can't tell you right now is where we're at in the ballpark of that and what the cost likely could be. I have no idea.
And first of all, you gotta figure out, like that, she says it is a 6-inch line, so that's great, but that ends right at the clubhouse. The line's coming from water one, or rural water one is only a 2-inch line coming from the other way. So you're still not gonna be able to put hydrants on.
Well, and
They already have
where the
hydrants
rural
where
water,
rural water is, cause they're replacing the lines.
yeah, we're replacing the
yeah.
line in those locations
Oh,
already.
right on. So
So-
it's just us getting,
It's the, yeah, yes, yeah. It's the locations where the and Minnie and I talked about it,
Yeah.
you know, trying to look backwards, why the decision was made not to put any in there. And I believe the decision early in the design process and through the process with the study and then the
well,
approval with
originally we weren't
USDA.
keeping the POA lines.
What's that?
Originally, we were putting new line in where the
Oh,
POA
yes.
lines are.
And then I think we were looking to opportunities to maximize building elsewhere by using those existing lines. So the intent, the project was focused on growing the system externally and not necessarily focused on rehabbing any of the existing lines, except for swapping meters. So this will be a little bit of a change from that direction initially. So I'll take it back with us that we've got an action to look at how many fire hydrants we talk in those areas where there's existing lines. If we confirm water main sizes, and then we'll bring that back potentially as change order 3.
So I need a second on the 72.
Yeah, we have an open motion. Do we have a second?
We have a motion to pay this.
For,
The
for
To do the
72,000.
72,000.
change order 2.
You know,
Second it.
All in favor?
I,
We got two. Okay.
Okay. Couple other things on the water project, just in general note, just for people's benefit. And Richard, if I miss anything important, let me know. As we know, there's been a lot of talk about the roads and culverts, et cetera. Hettinger's, plan on that has always been to do those at the end of the project when they're done. So that said, Richard and I feel they could do a little bit better job on cleanup. Piles of rock sitting around and things like that. So we will talk to them about that at the next water project meeting, and see if we can't get them to do a little better job on cleanup and stuff.
What about road rock? I'm getting road rock.
Oh, yeah, road rock. I don't think there's much we can do about that unless obviously I would think if we're seeing flooding issues or erosion issues or something like that, something needs to be done about that. But again, we'll have deeper conversations with Hettinger at the next water project meeting. Did I miss anything important, Richard?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
did you
Not
want
dinging
Aaron to
anymore.
talk about the other fill station?
The what?
The other fill station? That's all you did. 'Cause he
yeah,
doesn't-
I think
he
he-
doesn't
he-
need to talk
yeah.
about it. I can talk about it.
Yeah,
We've already been through it over and over.
Yeah, so there has been question about, I'll set the stage for this, and then John and Aaron can chime in. There's been questions asked about using the old fill station in conjunction with the new one. I wasn't obviously around when those decisions were made as far as decommissioning that one and where the new one goes and everything, so, I would like for John and Aaron to kind of chime in on that and kind of give the history and why those decisions were made, and whether it's a good idea or not to revisit them.
First of all, the city doesn't own that property. The POA does. Second of all, we've agreed to decommission the system, and that's part of the system. So we've went back and forth over that over the last 3-4 years. And it always ends up being the same spot and then you're taking over something you're gonna have to throw a bunch of money into that you can't legally do because it's not our property. And Aaron can move from there on it.
Yeah, I can give just a little bit brief background. So I don't believe the question was whether or not to leave the water treatment facility in place and then use
Right,
that
it was
to?
just the fill
No,
station.
no, just
Okay.
just the.
Because that has to be decommissioned,
Yeah.
or you're spending tons of money to do that. So I do believe there might be an option to connect the existing fill station into the water system, the brand-new water system that's getting installed. And basically that fill station would serve the same water that the fill station, the new fill station is offering. We would need to look at, there would need to be some engineering to figure out if that fill station getting attached in that location, which was not part of the original project, if that can sustain, that area of the system can sustain that usage at that location and not affect pressures for nearby residents in that area if a large volume of water now is exiting that we were not planning on. So there's a little bit of engineering that might need to happen there. And then there is a question of permitting. That fill station is not part of the water's current, or the city's current permitted system with KDHE. So there would need to be a revision to the permit in order to just, if the intent was to get that fill station connected into the system. Because it's a new supply location that is not part, right now the city is operating the fill station, the water tower, and then all the mains. And those are the locations where you can sell water. A new fill station would need to be looked into. And there does come up a question on, once you get to that location, now it's, how you're gonna meter it. So do you meter it outside and then it goes into the fill station and you just read that meter? It'd be almost similar to how you're doing it at the fill station, but that meter would basically be a POA meter owned by the city, but it's their meter that you guys read and then you bill them based on that usage at that location.
You couldn't put flow point down there?
You could, yeah. That was another option I was noting, or that I noted, or was thinking about, that you could potentially add a flow point system at that location. Again, there's questions of ownership. Who owns that? I don't know if the POA would be willing to donate or sell or something with that real estate so that the city can have that as part of their system and own all parts of it. But a flow point system could be used there. Just so you know, that the general cost, I think the one that got bid in this project was for construction was about $145,000 for the fill station. So you'd be in that ballpark, plus some engineering fees and permitting.
Another 145,000,
Yeah.
just to have,
And
to not drive
You know,
across the dam.
to add to that, we wouldn't be able to do that until the project was finished.
Not necessarily, I mean,
Well,
Depending on how
funding
fast they
wise,
got
It would-
because we get into that contingency, it'd be kind of,
you would be dipping into the contingency
Right.
further to do it.
which would be scary to do at this point.
Sure,
Be
yes.
easier to do at the
Yeah, I
end.
don't know that we would recommend that large of one for something like that, especially if you're already looking in conjunction with fire hydrants, new
Right.
fire hydrants in it, and things that are currently right now unknown to us for
Right.
half the project that we ever
And
did.
then my other, just my own thought on this is, once the system is complete, is 2 fill stations necessary? Because there won't be as much hold and haul volume at that point.
Sure.
So, I mean, the question is that a good use of funds? Nothing we
I
have to
don't
answer
know,
tonight,
since-
but it's,
Since the community wigged out over $250,000 for a new city hall, I don't think they'd be happy with $150,000 just for a second fill station. But that's just me.
and I don't know if this is something that we could, if it's something the POA would consider funding, if we did it, but they paid for
POA
it.
has no funds.
Well, I'm just throwing out options, because people are asking for things, so just
There-
throwing out.
Yeah, and a new flow point isn't required, I guess
Right.
I would note. There is likely a way to hook up the existing fill station to the new lines in the new system. But if the city were to take ownership of that, obviously you're taking on the asset, an aging asset that could need repairs and
Yeah,
maintenance and
it's,
replacement at a future date.
we have to think about the cost of hooking that up and the ongoing maintenance cost of a system that, has known issues.
Richard agrees with John.
I don't know if there's anything to actually take action on, other than just, the question has been brought up, and also, the other question been brought up is, why do we put the fill station so far away from everything instead of putting it where it was? I don't know if anybody here knows why that decision was made.
Well, maybe Aaron can,
I'd have to go digging, honestly.
It's probably, it's a
I
moot
mean, it
point,
was-
but I'm
it-
just,
yeah, the
people
decision
ask
was
the question,
made.
so if we have the answer, we
Yeah,
should.
I mean, when I know it was decided, or was at least discussed back when the study was being done, and it's been over 4 or 5 years since that point. So I know there was thought put into it. I don't know the ins and outs of every decision that was made along the way, but that is the design that was submitted through KDHE, through USDA.
Richard
So
said it's because it's gotta be on the city property. That's the only.
and that's probably
thing.
honestly that's probably the
Yes.
reason.
Yeah, I knew Richard would remember that.
There you go.
Well, we didn't even have that land when we started this, and the original tower was gonna go like closer over here, but then we bought that POA, and it was the highest place in Lynn Valley. So. And that is why it's on city, but we had to have it on city property, but they wanted access for people not to have to go outside of the POA to have access to it.
Gotcha.
That's why it's on that corner there, but
Any other questions or thoughts on that topic? No? Are we done with the overall water project report? There's still water questions later, but,
You talked about talking to him about the current fill station, the new one possibly, or are there issues about going ahead and being able to use it now? Start turning that water?
He said, did you say within the week we can? Flow Point is done.
Yeah. So I spoke with them today. They wanted to confirm.
They're gonna send somebody down to train.
Yeah, so they need to be notified when everything's in place for them to send down a person for an 8-hour training.
So I sent the contract back
Okay.
Friday. She confirmed it this morning, so any day but Thursday this week.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to check with them on their schedule, but
Yeah.
that's basically the linchpin to get that water flowing.
so, and then once we get that operational, we'll work with the POA to start using that fill station. Because I don't know if everybody is aware or not, but we had to dump around 10,000 gallons out of the water tower last week because it's been sitting there too long. So we can't afford to continue doing that, so we got to start selling water yesterday. So,
And at that point in time, it's the whole transmission portion of it, so it's a pump station, it's a generator and all that, we're taking that on for maintenance and conservation. I've been observing, watching it over.
Are you talking about transfer of ownership from the contractor to the city?
I would assume. it would
Well,
be-
I'd have to look at the way the contract's written. We do have it split out as a separate milestone item, but it's rolled up under the entire project, which means it's probably gonna remain under Headinger's technical ownership until the closeout of this project.
I assume somebody's gonna have to maintain it and
Yeah.
watch it, so.
Yeah, so I believe the answer to that question is it's Headinger's responsibility to keep it up and running until they hand off the entire project to the city at the end.
You're gonna need a water operator, then you have somebody else be able to maintain the water until then.
Potentially. I still think there's some actions for the city to be doing to maintain, or not to maintain, but to be watching, as the fill station's getting used, to watch the tower levels and the pumps and things. Headinger's responsibility to be making sure that they're up and running and not failing, but in terms of the water level and thing, I think that's still gonna be.
you think he can get us some clarification on that? Because that is our possible new
Yes.
water
Yes.
operator there.
Yeah, so is the question, will Hettinger be monitoring tower levels or is it more the question about if there's breaks or if there's issues with the pumps failing, that's Hettinger's responsibility and will remain Hettinger's responsibility until this project's closed out.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, it is a little bit murky here because now you have a tower that you're selling water. The tower's your guys', the city's.
So we do need
Especially
to-
once this final closeout
Be
with Caldwell goes through, then that will be handed over to the city and you guys own that. Technically, that's still with Caldwell. But now that you guys have approved that final pay up and we issue final payment and do all that stuff and close it out, that will go into the city's ownership. So that will need to be owned and maintained by you guys. But the transmission main, the booster station, while complete, is technically Hettinger's responsibility until the end of the project.
With you, boss. You got it.
Okay.
Any more questions?
We've been kicking this around several weeks, and we thought we could start using that water, start turning it over. And it seems that the hydrant that was installed with the tire project, the ductile iron line,
Yeah.
that's the only one that was really eating chlorine because of I suppose, the rusting.
Yeah, the ductile.
It had a lot of
Yeah.
coloration going on. Anyway, we got that, we busted that, and it's come well, but I will notably dissipated by a third over the weekend again, so,
Okay.
like today's shot, so. Anyway, but yeah, I've been checking the heaters on these power bases and the bulk fill station and the pump station and all that, and I would have assumed that there was a warranty issue that had to step in.
Yeah. So I'll reach out, I'll talk to Hettinger in the morning, you know, it's their responsibility to be coordinating with Flowpoint. I know you guys have got your contracts in place. I've talked to Flowpoint also. Technically, the Flowpoint contract, they have a contract with Hettinger. Hettinger has a contract with the city. So I've called Flowpoint though, and I will call them again tomorrow, confirm that they've got your thing, and
With
then
the
we can
time we
figure
filled
out.
that paperwork out, I didn't have anybody to put on as an operator, so.
Gotcha, okay,
They may not know who to contact down here now.
okay, okay.
I mean, they've
Well, when I spoke to
contacted
them on
me.
the phone today, they sounded like they were ready to send somebody down whenever the city's ready to receive them. So we can sort that out tomorrow and figure out a date to get you guys up and running.
The other day, we had a power issue in Lacey, and of course, we've got this nice dashboard and wonderful equipment, and, high tides servicing that, but we didn't get a generator, didn't pick up. We had an ATS notification, but the generator didn't pick up. And I let Brett know that.
Yeah.
He's gonna get somebody, but likewise, I'd like to, I don't care if it's a Zoom on there, but I'd like to have a little bit of informal training on how to manage the processor for the generator and make sure all that's.
Okay. Yeah, the city's okay. I think we can get Brett's guy to get you, their electrician, get you sorted on that.
And we picked up a spike the other morning, got really cold, and
Yeah.
I spoke to them, but
Okay.
nothing to get resolved, but we'll get to the bottom of it. I mean, those are wonderful little bitty problems
Mhm.
for a big project being turned over. Okay. I too kinda got something going on Thursday, you can manage around that, but I'll be here for whatever training after. If I need to rework something, I will on my schedule.
I don't
Anything
know if
else?
it's happening Thursday. The training you're talking about? Yeah, we haven't settled that out, but.
Nothing
we'll look
else
at it.
in general on the water project. We do have some more water things to talk about in a little while, but
Okay.
we'll end the water project report for now. The lagoon expansion report, not a lot to say there, other than we did have the construction kickoff meeting last week. So that's good. They'll be starting soon. It looks like both these projects will probably be done about the same time.
Good.
So, now, first, citizen participation agenda. Is there anybody here that would like to talk about agenda items tonight? Nope, okay. Now we have, a few meetings ago, we voted to go back to 2 meetings a month, but we need to actually, pass a new ordinance for that. And along with that, we are also, gonna move from 6 to 6:30 to make sure everybody has time to get here. So, I'll entertain a motion to officially approve ordinance 277.
What's the name, what ordinance is it?
277.
I motion that we approve ordinance 277, changing our meeting times and, dates.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye. You still with us?
You too.
He's typing.
Yep.
Yep, okay. So that is approved. Now, we have to publish that or something, or?
I will tomorrow send it to
Okay.
the paper.
Okay. Old business, water operator contract with Page, and while he's up talking about that, we'll also discuss the sewer line SOP thing that we skipped over. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Well, I think you guys got a draft copy of a, kind of a generic contract we put together for these, and, effectively, we're bidding, I guess, to, keep you safe and healthy. There's 2 different things that keep the water. I told Mindy, I said, I'm really sure in an hour I could have that water coming out of cell 3, safe to drink. if you'll drink it, because I'm not drinking it. So, but anyway, there's a difference. We gotta keep the bugs killed, and then there's a water quality, and then, of course, we gotta have, as you mentioned, the affordability. We're accountable to the state for really every gallon that goes through, so we'll make sure that, I mean, we're flushing hydrants or something, we gotta keep track of things like that anymore, because, anyway, they can be kinda anal about what that is. But has anybody got any questions about the contract or the way we put it together? It's kind of, you need minimal services at that time, and that's the way we try to price it. Typically, it's kinda goes up as the benefits get added into it, so. But right now, I've been running around checking booster pump stations, things like that. Got a nice program on my phone, I keep my eye on it, but they don't tell me the heater's running, so. Or there's water leaking out on the floor or something like that, so I tend to run through those things and see what we can do.
You guys have any questions on the contract? Jamie, is it look okay to you, or, yeah? Okay. So, no questions, anybody want a motion to approve?
I motion that we approve for the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a water operator contract with Page, and is it Page Enterprise?
Enterprise, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're good.
Now we'll go back to the sewer, low-pressure sewer system and the SOP around the sewer line breaks and stuff.
Yeah, I just put together a standard operating procedure. This is something Corey and I went through 8 years ago with a whole separate set of dynamics and folks, and I wanna say that anytime I've ever reached for anybody, the POA or Corey, and over the years when we've had leaks, typically after a power outage, everybody is 150% on board trying to get everything taken care of. It's pretty serious to the KDHE that we keep that sewage out of that lake as much as possible. Everybody's just been over backwards. I figured it's time to review that. We've got different facilities and different equipment. We probably need to get some more wrenches and some more valve maps put together, and probably either train the trainer, but we probably ought to get together in the same room and have a discussion about just how these things can happen. We can minimize the flow. A couple specialty tools that our biggest risk of failure seems to be on the service lines. That's an HDPE product. If we could get to them and get them crimped very quickly, we can minimize the flow, minimize the time that we would need these guys. A lot of times I need 2 trucks. I don't know how many times in the middle of the night I've needed 2 trucks, and they've been out there running trucks back and forth trying to keep it off of us so we can get in there and do a repair. So apparently there was a value engineering item come across during that contract, said, hey, let's not use brass saddles, let's use plastic saddles, and that's been plastic fittings and saddles, and that's been probably 80% of our repair expenses. So we get into an extended power outage, and much of these pumps come on at the same time when the power comes on, tends to hammer the line, and we got big air releases standing on top of a plastic saddle, and snap. So but we've learned to the point now that when we have a power outage, we start hanging around, you know, because we know they're probably going to be a problem. So, but anyway, these are pretty minimal expenses. Some of these pinch-off tools are just a couple $100. Really super nice ones with hydraulics and the things, you know, keep you up out of all the nasties are much more expensive. We're not insinuating that, but it'd be nice if we get sucked down to it, we could get it pinched off so we could get the suck truck back up off of it and not have to have them on the other end, and we could do these repairs, so.
Hey, Mike, when you guys been out there having problems and fixing stuff, are you trading those plastics out for
Oh, yeah.
brass? Okay.
Yeah. When we put in a new system, they all get brass saddles, they get stainless steel curb stops. I mean, it's not, money's no object, but we do put better equipment than what's being installed there. A big bunch of our problems is right at the edge of your basin. We have plastic line coming up, it's overdug, over excavated, goes into the side of a basin, and then the weight of the ground eventually cracks it, and that comes beside it. When we go back, we Have to get all that plastic out of them threads, and then we put a brass pack fitting back in it. Not a cheap fitting. I know why they did it to begin with. That fitting's probably $150. But what's it cost to dig it up and
But
repair
look
it?
at the cost you're saving.
Amen. So, that's the reason we do that. So, and when we put them in new anymore, they go in with a brass fitting. So, so I guess the SOP, I had written a couple, incidents, the one that we'd hit, over here, kind of explain kind of what goes on, because it is kind of a all hands on deck situation, keep this sewage. We were pretty fortunate. We've been doing this locate thing for about 10 years. When we first took this on, it was kind of a temporary deal. We were gonna kind of, find an operator, but we knew where all the lines were. You can drive up to a yard and you can see the ditch line and the grass and the bare spots and the pipes through the driveway and all that. Well, we tried to get a locate service to look at them and discovered that the service lines hadn't been tied to the main lines. So you put a tracer on it, you can pick up the main lines, but there's no place to figure out where the service lines are. For over 10 years, I will break my arm and pat myself on the back. We kept everybody out of them just by kind of knowing where they are and where they should be. Pretty decent as-built drawings to work with and things like that. And I picked up some expensive metal locators so that I can find them metal hits and things. Well, this one over here on Rosemarie, as-built was wrong. I couldn't find it anywhere. I give it a guess. What the Hettinger people's merit, they work with me. I don't know where this is at. They get there and they slow down and they dig and they look for these lines have been well bedded. That one was not. We caught the line. It was 30 feet off my mark. It's a guess. I go out there and now I don't have very many clues when I get out there. The roads have been covered. Everything's, landscaping's different. So it's wholly a guess. Therefore, if anybody got any question about that, that's therefore we wrote a letter and said, hey, I'm willing to go and guess for you guys to try and figure out where these are at and keep these guys out of it, because we really got to do something for them as a community. But I really don't want to be liable for my guess and having a guess, so I asked for, we talked about a letter of indemnification for that, so that we, the line's traceable, that's a mistake. But if it's not traceable, I'll just do what I can do to keep them out of it. And like I said, I usually talk to them guys almost daily, just say, hey, we're getting up here, and I don't really know exactly where that's at. So anyway, but we've done really good. I got to give them that. They've done a great job of trying to find that. This particular one, there's a little gravel. It was way off, a little bit shallow. It just, everything leaned away from it. We got it. And if you read the report, we had a hole, filled up with sewage. It didn't run out and go down to the creek and run into the lake, like we have seen twice in 10 years, which is really not too bad. But anyway, so if anybody's got any questions about that, or I'm here to answer any questions. It seems silly that we'd have lines that are less than 10 years old in the ground with tracers on them, but we can't trace them, but it's in fact what we got, so. Anyway. Policy, I guess, on the sewer, we've talked about that a few times over the years. We got two lots, somebody merges one and they're in the sewer district. Surely the one that they merged on there then becomes part of the sewer district. I don't know how you guys have handled that, but we talked about it a few times and we really never, to my knowledge, there's never been anything written about it, but there's some things for you to think about. The other one, we had one incident where we did in fact shut the lake down over a holiday weekend, involved kind of some, we'll say weekend warriors installing their own sewer. And anyway, it turned into very expensive. You shut down Lynn Valley Lakes over Memorial Day weekend, it wasn't a nice, there were a lot of unhappy people. But anyway, at that time, the then council said that they were going to write a policy that said if you couldn't show experience of installing the system, we didn't want you messing with it. And at that time, we had 2 or 3 or 4 people that were doing that, and the E1 system. And I got to think there's some more out there, and I'm all about getting more people in here that know that system. But I think several people are putting pressure on to install it themselves. I don't feel like that's a good idea. I don't care if we get E1 or the Haynes or whomever to do that, but you get that line broke, and in that instance, it bled all weekend and nobody knew it from where it was at, and it bled right into the lake. They had no idea how much was in the lake, and it was in a
I
bad kind of.
didn't know that people could put their own in.
Well, I don't know there's ever been a policy written,
On
I was
the-
told there was.
As far as the grinder pumps,
Well,
holding tanks, I can see, but not,
I don't know if this one was really late. Following me.
so, at the time, we usually, because of the warranty issue, come out and we can do the startup on the equipment, but it's really your guys' call whether you want to just let anybody put that in there. But, I mean, in order for you to get warranty, I've got to get some information and amp clamp it and voltage and check it and all that stuff. But, anyway, like I said, I don't care how many, I mean, there was, I think Stark at one time was bonding a gentleman that was installing them from Drexel, and I think he's passed. But, I mean, if Stark wanted to, I don't care who does them. This isn't employed to monopolize the business. It's okay. But you don't want just everybody to be able to install them, I don't think, so.
and in your defense, you're the one that has to fix it, because you are our
Well,
sewer operator. So-
that's part of it, but it really is a big deal. You get this in the lake. We fixed it there in the middle of the night. I got 4 phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, KDHE, when they finally found my voice messages. How much, where at? Saved us that time as the lake was up. It was discharging. We was only a few hundred feet from that discharge, and they felt like any effluent would have went right out through the overflow and didn't get to the water plant. Often that's not the case, so. Anyway, that's another policy I feel like we probably ought to work on. Like, again, I don't care who installs them. That's not my motivation, because everybody's struggling with help and keeping everything going, it seems like. But I think you do want to have qualified people to put them in, or at least install the equipment and the piping, so. Any other questions about the sewer, or?
So Jamie, on his request for the big I word, indemnity, is that something that we can entertain, or?
You can entertain it, we'll have to tailor it, but, yeah, yes.
So we'll work on that? Okay.
Do you have any thoughts or concerns or about this SOP and getting together and make sure we're all working in concert? I've never reached to you guys that somebody couldn't go grab a wrench out of the old fire station, but now we've got nice.
I'd like to get a couple of, another wrench or two, one at the old station up there, one down lower, depending on where we're going. Get some more maps made of where their shut-offs are at.
Yeah, maybe get some inexpensive
'Cause I
pinch
don't know
offs.
where they are, so I gotta pull that map out.
Yeah.
We've got one that shows us where those are at, and kind of where to go.
One of those things is probably better to have too many of than not enough.
Yeah. Right now, we've just got the one wrench.
And you know why they fold up nice? We can put them in the back of a fire truck, a couple quad cars, and they're not.
We gotta get one that folds up, cause that current one we have doesn't fit in the police car. I gotta leave the window open, just stick it through. While I'm driving down the road.
We work.
How cold was it?
What's that?
I said, how cold was it that day?
Yeah, it was pretty cool that day.
We work some of them details out. We're gonna get together and have a little training, but if you got any input, I think it would be smart for us to do that. Been 8 or 10 years since we've done that, and I'm thinking it's probably new players. So,
And probably the big ones that you keep warning me every time we shut it off, just making sure anybody that's going to shut those off understands it's a quarter turn. If you crank it too far, or you crank it the wrong direction, you know, snap those valves off, and then we go.
again, they're plastic fittings, and then if we get overzealous and think this is a big 10-turn valve, we're gonna be fixing a valve and on the main and a problem, so. Anyway, I think that was my suggestion when we kinda threw that out there. Any other questions about sewer?
Do we need to take any formal action to adopt this SOP, or is that just a thing?
Have to take formal action to
Okay.
So living document, we might get together and change something, and hey, here's a better idea, great, let's put it in there or something. It's just kinda help you get all the players that might be there on the same page, I think.
That's right, it's gonna be revolving.
What?
It's gonna be a revolving.
Yeah,
document,
that's kinda
so
what I
it's not
thought,
like
but,
it's- I mean, it's-
And the action we took was having him as the sewer operator, so
yeah.
as things change, he's gonna be changing
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Okay. Can we talk about water now, or just a little bit?
Sure,
Or-
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
All right. Contract, we kinda got that working, great. In order to implement that, I think, one of the things we've talked about this several times, we've gotta stood up on 811 locate. I mean, this line's effectively ours. Somebody runs an auger or something across the bottoms down there, or a ripper, who knows? Believe me, we've been in this business for 30 years, we've seen a lot. But, we get into this line, it's not it won't be a warranty issue. It'll be the cities fix it. And so we're gonna need typically some parts. We have some larger lines in the whole county. I'm not gonna say bigger than Miami 2 or certainly not Johnson, but, down around, wholesale 13, we repair some 14, this 12 and this 10 and this 8. We're gonna need some barrels and some glands and gaskets and kits. And anyway, I put together a list of parts, maybe not in quantity, but it's not just, I'll probably ask Hedinger when he's done, if he's got some pieces of pipe, that's kind of a specialized stuff. I'll gather them and get them in out of the sun or something, maybe on the south wall out here or something. But anyway, but we're gonna need several barrels, Band-Aid clamps, things like that. The good news is this kind of pipe, it's tough. We're using it, we're installing it today over here by Parker, but you don't typically rip it and split it or pull the joints apart or anything like that. When they get into it, it just pokes a hole in it. So, but anyway, my first run on parts was, well, it's between $20,000 and $30,000 for spare parts. And so there's a little bit of specialty equipment that needs to stay here in the community. And not much, but a little bit, but I listed that on that too. But anyway, and I'm not looking for you to prove an amount, but I have got, if you go to get a water setter, you need the one that fits your community. Well, here's a little bit of an issue. I don't know when we're gonna end up with Rural Water One's equipment, but it's gonna get replaced. But we got POA's equipment. They've got a setter, probably a twin setter with a PRV, and and then we got the new one that comes along with probably a 1-inch CTS. They're different, and we probably need to have a little bit of an inventory of this stuff around here. We're gonna get responsible for this stuff. PRVs, setters, housings, rings, lids, antennas, the specific stuff that we're using in this. I can't run over to Rural Water 3 or down to, somebody else and pick that up. I don't know anybody else anywhere close to here has a Tesla meter. Now, that doesn't mean we're not gonna stick another meter in there for a day or two till we get something figured out, but we need some specialty equipment. Anyway, I'll get you a list. I had them price some valves. They get very expensive. That's something that if we have a big valve go bad, we could probably get that off 13. Most of us are networked together. We call and we know where their key is and what lockbox and get it out of there, and then we call the vendor and say, hey, bill Lynn Valley Lakes for this 12-inch valve, to take it down and put it on 13 shelf for us, so that's the kind of, most of this communities network together like that, because we don't have, not everybody can afford $50,000 or $75,000 worth of spare parts. So anyway, I would assume that would be the path that we want to go down as much as we can, less on some of the more expensive stuff, but we're still gonna have a outlay on the front of the parts. And it's a little bit of special equipment, a hot tap probably. Make sure we have our own special hot tap for the sewer, because we want to make sure nobody else takes that out of our sewer pipe and takes it over and runs it in the water line. That would not probably make KDHE happy, so we introduced E. coli into the water system. So anyway, I'll quit rambling, but spare parts and like I said, kind of some policies on. Right now, we've been questioning all afternoon. We got the water line in the front yard and no potable water yet. Close. I mean, very, very close. But houses are moving and selling, and we've put in a temporary tank. There's really no policy for temporary tanks that I'm aware of. So these guys are held to, hey, no, you're gonna have to spend $10,000 putting that in the ground and get it all ready, because next month, city says I gotta hook onto that water line when it comes hot. So you might think about what we're gonna do in the interim because I can think of at least three applications that I'm involved in that's, water's right here, but we're gonna work with the community to, I would assume we're required to get on the water. It just seems like wasted money for have it for a month or two. It would seem logical, right? Anyway, policy. That's about all I have, the water contracts. Anybody got any questions or? Spare parts? Come on, Curtis, I know you got something for me.
No, I'm okay, no, I think they pretty much covered it, yeah.
Some of the stuff's kind of specialty to us, we want to go run and grab something. We're improvisers, we can make something, we're not gonna let water run or let people be without water, but to get it put back right, it's probably smart to have a few parts sitting around. Has there been any money budgeted for any spare pieces and parts? Probably
Not
kind
somewhere,
of similar deal at the end of the project, whatever money's left.
I don't know. I'd have to look at USDA. I don't know that they allow for the use of their funds for operation and maintenance expense items. I think it's typically just for install.
I think there was something on it, Aaron, it's been a while since I've seen that, but.
I'll look into it on our side, just figure out if that's
I don't know if
doable.
that
I just
was on
know
our
if we
fire
fire
city
safety
side or-
install,
I remember
not
we
sure.
put it together
So that's what I have.
For parts?
for parts and stuff, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
You bet, I'll take the lead on trying to get you what I think's a reasonable spare parts list. You guys can review it, you got questions, get a hold of me and we can back out or put in more or something. Certainly gonna, well, just since the meter swap, we've had 2 or 3 that blew up and the little cold snaps and you gotta have spare parts.
Yeah.
Thank God Hettinger had some parts. I think one of them was PRV, right? It's gonna be hard because a lot of their stuff is, you probably have multiple different meter setters in your system and different piping. Anyway, we'll work on it. It's gonna be a work in process. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else on that before we move on? Okay. So the next thing, we want to talk about the water connection ordinance. We talked about this a little bit prior. We've got more information now. Just want to first talk about the facts of the ordinance. We require a connection to city water if you're a permanent resident. Current ordinance does not specify a connection timeline. So the policy question, we have to answer is, should campers be required to connect? And what should the connection timeline be once the meter's dropped? There is a little bit of urgency, even more urgency since we couldn't meet a couple weeks ago. The meter installation is ready to begin, so we really need to have guidance tonight to provide Hettinger what we're gonna do. Just for some more facts, Lance and Matthew drove around last week or so and went through all of the camping lots that were on, camping and multipurpose lots that were on the list to get a meter. Wrote down what was on each lot. So camper, RV, empty, whatever. There are 80 RVs on the list for a meter, and there are 8 vacant or / accessory building only lots that are scheduled to get a meter. So that's just the facts of where we're at. So, policy considerations. Right now, we have a minimum building requirement that requires 3,000 gallons minimum monthly building. Most campers are not just unlikely, will not use that amount. No campers will use that amount unless they have a leak. Connection costs and monthly bills may be difficult for some camper or RV owners. Could result in meters installed but not actively used. So, example, somebody gets a meter, we force them to get a meter because they're a permanent resident and they can't afford it, so they don't pay the bill, we shut them off, we have a meter sitting there that costs us $55 a month for our cost to pay the loan. We need $55 a month from each of the 830 meters to pay the loan fee. So if we have 10 or 15 meters sitting out there that aren't being used, we're not getting money. That's that much a month that we're not getting to pay our loan back. So as far as our financial stability, permanent homes are generally going to use more water consistently. Probably most of them will use more than 3,000 gallons, especially once they don't have to conserve their water. So higher usage supports better sustainability long term. Some camper owners will still choose to connect, most likely. I think a lot of them probably will, especially ones that are going to get their meter without having to pay for it. I'm estimating probably about 50, if we let people opt out, about 50% of them, give or take, would probably opt out. So there's also the enforcement question of determining who is a permanent resident may be difficult to enforce, just like we had how do we prove an RV was on a building site for more than so many days. Probably a little easier to enforce this, but still there's that question. So, connection options. Option one, we keep the current ordinance as it sits. Campers have to connect if they're a permanent resident. All scheduled meters are installed, no reassignment required. Option two, we allow campers to opt out. Campers may choose not to connect. Some meters may be reassigned to permanent homes that want the meters anyway, that are sitting there on the list hoping they get one. It may incur a change order fee from B&G or Hettinger to do some additional scoping work. We can delay the decision and postpone changing anything, but we really can't do that. We can't really pass the ordinance tonight, but we could at least give direction if we're leaning that direction. So Hettinger can start dropping meters. Like I said, meter installation's ready to go, so we need some kind of direction tonight. And then the second thing we need to discuss is the connection timeline. Right now, we have no defined timeline. We've talked about starting building from the day the meters dropped. There's been suggestions of 30 days, 90 days, other things like that. Since our current ordinance does not say anything, we really can't enforce any kind of connection timeline. Am I right? It doesn't say when you have to start paying. So option two, we could do something like a 60-day timeline, which gives people, 60 days once the meters drop to get in. It gives a little faster adoption. Might be difficult for some residents to schedule work, because we all know how hard it is to get things scheduled, especially if we have to have surveys. Another option would be a 90-day timeline. The basic thing with any of these is billing would begin at the end of the timeline or when they're connected irregardless, but we could also give an extension option that they may appeal to the council for additional time for good cause. Like, I need a survey and I can't get anybody out here for 6 months. They could appeal to the council to get additional time. And that's the end of my spiel, quick and dirty. Conversation, questions, thoughts?
So why is it you think that these homes or whatever that you said that we could get those meters to, why wouldn't they already be getting meters anyway?
Because we ran out of free meters to give away. They're gonna have to buy them later. This saves them money because they won't have to buy a meter because we have excess, we potentially have excess meters for campers that opt out. It saves the RV people money that can't afford it. A lot of the RV people are gonna want them because it's gonna be a convenience for them. But some that just know I can't pay for the connection from the meter to my home or to the spigot, or I can't afford $65 a month when I only use 1,000 gallons every 3 months, let alone 3,000 gallons a month. We risk people saying, you know what, I'm just not gonna pay it. I'm gonna continue doing my hold and haul or refill my water cube or whatever. And then we've got a meter sitting there that costs us money that we're not getting anything out of.
You're the boss.
No, you guys are the boss. I just bring ideas.
I see what you're saying. There was only so many meters allotted,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I think whatever they added so many, after whatever was initially added. They added so many, and then now everybody after that, so if there are people that can't, but there's people that could put in a meter and use more volume, why not put it on that versus another camper that's not going to use it? That's what.
Right. We just basically reallocate the meter.
Honorable Mr. Cobb. That's what I just said. I agreed with him.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that's, okay.
So,
I think the 90 days is what you should go for.
okay.
Because 60 days, you're right, the surveying sometimes is hard to get out of here, but just make it a 90 days
But they
for.
need a survey?
Huh?
I mean, if they already
If-
have a house,
if we don't have a survey on file, they don't have one. There was a decision a while back that
Yeah.
for the building permit, they have to have a survey on file. They don't have to go get a new one. But they do not have one on file, then they've got to get one, because we don't know for 100% certainty that where the meter or water line is going to go is in their property.
Good.
But yeah, it's better to have a paying customer than a non-paying
Yeah.
customer.
So, I guess we need to update the ordinance to vote on next time. But are we in agreement that we can give Hettinger direction, or we can contact the people that are on the meter list where they're ready to start and give them a chance to opt out if they're in RV?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mindy, can you take care of that tomorrow?
You didn't think I'd turn on that, did you?
Huh?
You didn't think I came on that, did you?
I didn't think you would, no.
Hemphill had me
He-
to the day.
He twisted your arm good?
No, I just,
So, it was Hemp Hill, it wasn't, none of my presentation did it, it was all Hemp Hill.
no, it made sense to
Yeah.
have people that, because there are some people that just don't pay their stuff. and
Yeah.
They would just leave it there.
Yeah,
So,
and then we're just out
they
money,
were just fighting that
Yeah.
forever and ever.
yeah.
Very good thinking, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now moving on to new business. First,
Dog kennels.
oh, dog kennel, where'd that go? That was supposed to be under the police report, I think.
It's under
No,
old
it's under
business.
business.
It's under old business.
Old business, yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay, I guess maybe I didn't update my sheet. I didn't update mine. Dog kennel,
No.
Corey, you're up.
So we want to, look at putting in a new, dog kennel, dog pound. I think there's been some talk about possibly needing to expand this building over here for the water sewer equipment that might need to be put into it. And the logical direction would be this way, which is where that kennel's at. But that kennel, it works, the state's approved it, but if I've got 2 or 3 dogs in there,
Can
and
I
they're
hold that for a
trying.
second,
What?
Chief? Jeremy already gave us this open. You want the dog kennel down there?
Why would Jeremy?
Or,
Brett.
Brett, sorry.
Brett, but I think you've got a little more information on it, don't you? Than what
Yeah,
Brett gave us, yeah.
Prices for it. So, yeah, I guess what we'd be asking for, if he, I forgot he was here at that meeting we did, is, you know, I heard something.
You want to take it personal?
We figured up the cost on that, but what we're wanting to do, and it wouldn't exceed $6,000. So I guess we'll be just asking for approval to do that, if the council's okay with it.
Do we have budget funds for that somewhere?
I can find 6,000.
In that case, I make a motion that we allow the police chief and who else are you the one that, like,
Brett and I are gonna do it.
okay, that they can, be allotted up to $6,000 to make a new dog kennel.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
How many is that? He said aye.
Okay.
He answered your other questions though too, I think. 90 days on the timeline?
If I remember correctly, Brett said you guys wanna build it where the fire department is now, or?
Yeah, behind the fire station.
Just another question is, while you're doing construction over there, I'd heard that at one point you were wanting to relocate the helipad over in that general area somewhere?
We've talked about that as well, and that's something I have to get with the, AMR about, their approval to do that. Right now, they
Right.
land over the trash dumpsters, and if you've ever seen that, that becomes, everybody has to take their trash right at that moment.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, so if we felt like if we could get a
Oh.
pad built behind the fire station, between that and where the lagoon, that first lagoon cell is.
There's
Up
probably
there.
grant funding or something we could apply for that, I would assume?
I don't know, I'd have, like I said, I'll get with AMR
Yeah.
about that and see if we do that.
I think that would be
something they'd be willing to help out with or not. But
a
it'd
fabulous
basically
thing.
just be a concrete slab.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a lot.
Probably some
Slab.
lights and a
Yeah.
windsock.
We could certainly control the traffic, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be such a headache.
Yeah.
And a danger, really.
Yeah.
for people.
Built 4 of them around, or moved, built 4 of them around the hospital, so I'll probably have some drawings, you might be able to get some information on. But one of the big concerns is the water surrounding, because we're working construction, and all of a sudden a piece of tin goes out, lifts, sucks through an impeller, and they're grounded. anyway, it's probably better to get away from the trash compactor.
Yeah.
And the trash compactor, the power lines over there,
Yeah.
everything would be.
Yeah.
I do have some drawings, payolas and garnets, so.
Yeah, I'd say we should look into that as you have time.
Yeah, I can call, figure out who I gotta talk to at the county level or AMR.
Cool.
Who has the actual authority to move that. I don't think I have the authority to say, this is where you're gonna land now. I don't think that's up to me, so.
Blame it on Brett.
All right.
Do we wanna, when I post that list for the meters to opt out, do we want a time limit?
Yeah, they're gonna have to let us know, especially the ones down there heading ready to go. They're gonna have to let us know like soon.
For that sewer,
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna be on the other side.
So those might be phone calls or something, if you guys have, maybe Lucy can do that
East,
or.
but to the
okay.
east and
That was one of Richard's
northeast.
questions.
Be northeast corner, yeah, I don't want to hear sewer on that.
Get Lucy on it.
We gotta mark it out, and get the, building inspectors out there to give us a permit and all that stuff on it.
Okay. Moving on to new business, I'd like to take us to executive session to talk about non-elected personnel. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion that we go into executive, returning,
Give us about 20 minutes, so take 10 till,
returning at,
5 till.
7:55.
Yep.
And
Into this room.
I second that.
Well, we appear to have lost my presentation. My computer won't come back on, so. I'm gonna have to pull the agenda up on my phone, so know what we're doing with next. But anyway, we returned from executive session with no action taken. Do you have a paper copy of the agenda I can look at? So, is there any motion to be made at this time? In
I'm-
regard to the.
I make a motion that we eliminate the full-time building and codes position and just keep a part-time building and codes.
Anybody second?
Did you hear that, Richard?
Who's typing? He seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Richard says aye. All opposed? Abstain? Ayes have it. So with that, we'll skip over my next point and move to the American Tower Agreement. They again have reached out asking us to take a buyout on that cell tower lease. Jamie, have you reached out to them to see if we can bump that number up any, or?
I called the person that normally I deal with, and I've not heard back from them yet.
Okay.
But you and I talked about it, their number is basically the exact same, maybe $1,000 more than I started in 19, and that doesn't address the easement issue or any of other issues, so.
Yeah, so you don't recommend we,
I mean, if they
Accept that
wanna-
at this-
If they call me back and they wanna give you $500,000, then yeah, we'll have a good conversation, but I
They
have
never
strong
even-
suspicion that's not gonna happen.
do we have any idea what the present day value of that contract is compared to, that, would be a reasonable buyout number, or?
What did they offer last time, like 80,000?
No, it was still around 100. It was still 100. I have to go back and look, but it's well, if I recall, it's over 2, but I have to go back and look. But they want it in perpetuity. They're not like hey, we want it for this lease for this long. They want to buy it and have it and do what they want with it.
Right, and we don't wanna sell it for that cheap.
No.
So, I assume we probably need a motion to reject that pending
No.
not
We
just,
didn't take action. That's
No
the
action.
thing, is we didn't take action, so it just,
okay.
Yeah, just say so. But like I said, they reach back out and they want a real number, then, okay.
People's Telecom is not here, I believe. Did anybody from
Oh.
Peoples show up?
I had to leave a message
Okay.
because everybody was busy. so-
I know they wanted to talk about the fiber hits during the, construction, but since they're not here, I don't guess anything to talk about there. So then Mindy has a couple of insurance items that she'd like to discuss. One is on the employee insurance and one is on our general liability insurance.
Blue Cross Blue Shield, the current year, we paid $112,000. And I did not take out, like, Jamie pays for his kids and Lance pays for Munchkin.
Because, I know mine was 25-1, so you take 25-1 off of that, because then it goes down to whatever that is. I'm not good.
So the renewal for that would have been 119 minus what they pay. What I don't have is the rates for KMIT, which is the state, like, pooled in. It's the same insurance, but cheaper. So I would kind of like to get those rates before, I mean, I gotta have this before April 1st. But all it takes is, an online payment to,
Well, I could make a motion that we allow our city clerk to enter into a contract for insurance upon reviewing the other insurance rates, and that you can make that choice.
Do we give her a not to exceed amount or something like that, or?
No, because we don't,
Cause she's already got it from one of them.
oh, so the one is still 119?
Blue Cross Blue Shield will be renewal at 119 minus,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, then that would be,
because it's the same insurance.
Yep.
So,
not to exceed the 119.
Okay.
okay.
We get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I,
Okay. Truly's general liability went from 64,000 to 68. That's buildings, vehicles, whatnot. And I don't have another quote on that. We do get like last year we got a 4,400 dividend back.
We ran that years ago, and went through, Williams Gone, went through Allstate, so I did, went through 7 or 8, and they were by far the cheapest.
Yeah.
Now, we're not talking by like a couple thousand, we're talking by 10, 15,000.
And they are right
yeah,
here.
The same coverage, we can always run it again, I can make calls, but that's your guys' call.
I make a motion that we renew with Truly Insurance
Okay.
I'll second that.
for
All in favor?
$68,000.
Right.
There is one other thing, there was this letter sitting on my desk when I got here, about they're getting ready to start blasting at the new, limestone quarry. And we have the option to have a pre-blasting inspection done of our property, so that if there's any damage from the blasting, they know what was damaged here before versus from their blasting, I'm assuming. Seems like a good idea to me. We have this high-quality building here we're in. Could be damaged.
They're already blasting. They shook
I
the
was gonna
floors.
say, they've been blasting for a while.
They shook the floors and the windows the other day.
This one
But-
is the new one.
This is for
The
the
new-
new one.
I don't know who but I've never
This
felt,
one's been blasting, but the new one, I think he's just gonna get the.
I've never felt one like that.
But we have until April 2nd to request the deal, so.
It
I
doesn't
think,
hurt to request it.
yeah, that's kind of what I thought we should probably,
Well, they did say at the planning and zoning meeting, that if you're going to make a complaint, you better have proof beforehand. So,
If you do it, there needs representatives of the city doing the walk to make sure that
Yeah.
it's all documented, where everybody's in agreement versus one party going out.
right. Okay. Anything else on new business? Oh, we have the sealed bid, the single sealed bid for the old coach truck. So I guess I get the honor of opening it. Everybody gonna do a drum roll here so we can? This bid is from Sean Ward for $3,000 for the 2017 Ford F-150 coach truck. We have no other bids to review.
So,
I guess we sell it. Sold for $3,000. I knew I should have put one in for $3,000 and $1. I knew it. Any other new business? Public comment for non-agenda items or agenda items, just general public comment. Nope. Then entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Are you
Second?
staying all night?
No.
You gonna second the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going back on vacation.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.